Hello, welcome to the program. I'm Joe Mahan, and today we're going to be talking about the Dallas Cowboys. Now, I'm a New England Patriots fan, but love talking Dallas Cowboys football. But if I said three names, Jerry, Jimmy, and Barry, a lot of people would be saying, what are you talking about, a pop band from the 60s? No, Dallas Cowboys fans know who I'm talking about. Jerry, Jimmy, and Barry. Jerry Jones, Jimmy Johnson, and Barry Switzer. Jerry Jones, the owner of the Cowboys. Jimmy Johnson, coach, back-to-back championships with the Cowboys, Super Bowls. And Barry Switzer also won a Super Bowl as coach of the Dallas Cowboys. Now, for many years, I've been asking Cowboys fans, what happened with the Jimmy Johnson resigning after winning back-to-back Super Bowls. The story was after they won the second Super Bowl, they were in a bar, and Jimmy Johnson overheard Jerry Jones saying anybody could coach this team. So that got Jimmy Johnson fired up. Before you know it, they're holding a press conference where Jimmy Johnson's saying that he's stepping down. Now, Jerry Jones didn't fire him. Jimmy Johnson, I was surprised that he didn't stay with it, go for the 3 championships. Vince Lombardi, that was one of his goals when he first got hired on by the Green Bay Packers to win 3 NFL championships. No one had ever done it. Lombardi won back-to-back early in his career, and then they didn't get it the third year. A little further on in his career, Packers did win 3 NFL championships in a row, followed by 2 Super Bowls. So you could say they won 5 championship games in a row. So Lombardi was the first coach in NFL history to win 3 straight championships. And then I was surprised when Jimmy Johnson won back-to-back and wasn't thinking that he could be the first coach in Super Bowl era that won 3 championships. No one's ever done that. But he stepped down. Barry Switzer comes in from Oklahoma, won 3 national championships in Oklahoma. Comes in his first year, never coached in the NFL. As a head coach, he might have, as an assistant, I don't think he did. But first year, they go to the NFC Championship game. They lose to the 49ers. Steve Young gets his ring. His second year, Barry Switzer with the Cowboys, they win a championship. They beat Pittsburgh Steelers, win the Super Bowl. So now that Dallas has 3 out of 4 championships, 3 out of 4, 3 championships in 4 years, we'll say. So that's a dynasty. 2 with Jimmy Johnson, 1 with Barry Switzer. So Jerry Jones was the architect of that dynasty. So they got it done. 3 out of 4, you're a dynasty. The 49ers were a dynasty in the 80s. Joe Montana winning 4 Super Bowls. The Cowboys, dynasty in the 90s, 3 out of 4. And then in the 21st century, the Patriots had a dynasty in the early decades, 3 out of 4. The Patriots won. That was when they had Teddy Bruschi and Willie McGinnis. And then later on, they won 3 in 5 years later on in the next decade. So if you look at the dynasty teams, the Packers were the dynasty of the 60s, the Steelers were the dynasty of the 70s, 49ers were the dynasty of the 80s, Cowboys were the dynasty of the 90s, and the Patriots in the 21st century had dynasties in the first 2 decades. So Jerry Jones got the job done. They won 3 out of 4. They're cemented between the 49ers and the Patriots with their dynasty, so they got it done. But what amazes me with Cowboy fans, and I've been asking Cowboy fans this for years, they never mind giving Barry Switzer any love. They don't even give him any respect. But coming in with all that drama, Switzer didn't cause that drama between Jerry Jones and Jimmy Johnson. But Barry Switzer came in, got a championship in 2 years, cemented that 3 out of 4, that dynasty. So I think he got it done. And I'm a Patriots fan. I got no great love for Barry Switzer. You know, he ran kind of a renegade program at Oklahoma, but they won 3 national championships. He is a good coach. But here's the thing. In that dynasty, the 3 out of 4 with Dallas, Michael Irvin, the playmaker, was drafted by Tom Landry in that regime. Troy Aikman and Emmitt Smith were drafted by Jimmy Johnson. Larry Allen was drafted by Barry Switzer and Jerry Jones. And those were the 4 Hall of Famers from that dynasty run. The playmaker Michael Irvin, Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, and Larry Allen. So it's interesting that all 3, we'll say, eras contributed to that 3 out of 4, that dynasty. Now, since they won their last Super Bowl, it's been 25 years, they haven't been back to a Super Bowl. They haven't won 2 playoff games in a row since then. In fact, they have 2 playoff victories. I believe now it's 3. 2 with Tony Romo and 1 with Dak Prescott. So they have 3 playoff victories in 25 years. Never got to a conference championship game, and then obviously not a Super Bowl or winning a Super Bowl. And here's the thing, Jerry Jones tries. He spends the money, he's active, he's going for it, but some Cowboy fans think Jerry Jones wears too many hats. He's the owner, he's the president and the CEO, and he's the general manager. He's wearing too many hats. So that could be a big problem why they're not getting back to Super Bowls. Another thing I found out with the Cowboys is in now 2021, like 10 of 11 of their top paid players are people they drafted. So instead of going out and getting a great free agent and paying them, Dallas would rather say, no, we're going to pay the people we drafted, which a lot of them, people in the NFL and fans are saying they're not worth that money. So that'll hurt you if you're falling in love with the people you drafted instead of just trying to get the best players with the Cowboys. Jerry Jones, you can't take anything away from him as far as business. The brand of the Cowboys is at an all-time high. He helped the NFL bring football into Las Vegas. And I lived in Las Vegas for many years. I'm a native Rhode Islander, but I love Las Vegas. Lived there for 16 years. It's a great city. When Las Vegas got the Golden Knights, you should see the enthusiasm in that city. They finally got a pro sports team. They didn't have a pro sports teams all the years because of the gambling. The leagues thought, well, because there's legal gambling in Las Vegas, it wouldn't be a good city for a pro sports team. But the people in Las Vegas backed the Golden Knights. The enthusiasm was incredible. The Golden Knights go to the finals their first year in the NHL. Now Las Vegas has the Raiders, and they're backing that team, state-of-the-art stadium. So, and Jerry Jones, I heard, was instrumental in the NFL getting into Las Vegas. Now, another thing about Jerry Jones. I mean, I respect him, but at some point, being the owner and the general manager, should he have relinquished some of those duties, maybe to his son Steven? He brought in Bill Parcells for, I believe, 4 years, might have been 3. They went to the playoffs twice. He didn't listen to Parcells. Parcells didn't want T.O. Terrell Owens. And then a lot of the coaches that Jerry Jones has hired were kind of like buddy-buddy. His buddies, Dave Campo, I think he had 2 5-11 seasons. Chan Gailey, Wade Phillips did a good job. They had a 13-3 season. They wasted it. That was the year the Giants were 10-6. Giants came in and spanked them. Dallas was 13-3. That was the year Tony Romo went to Cabo on the bye week. Jason Garrett had a couple 12-4 seasons. that they wasted. 12-4, you're getting a bye, a home game. They wasted those. One of those was on the Des Bryant catch, non-catch. I think it wasn't a catch. He had it with two hands against his neck, and for some reason decided to reach out with one of them, and the ball hit the ground. That was not a catch. I mean, if he would have held on to it and went down, he might have landed at the 1 yard line, and then you say, "There you go, coach. First down at the 1 yard line, I did my job," instead of trying to do it all. So, and that was too bad because I like Des. He'll give you everything he's got. But a lot of that's on Jerry Jones. He's the general manager. Another interesting thing I found out about Jerry Jones, and this was years after the fact, he had done a 60 minutes interview. And in the interview, he said that he prayed to the Most High, said, "Just give me one more," meaning one more Super Bowl after Jimmy Johnson left. And what happened? He got it. He got that one more Super Bowl. And then he said later in that interview, "I should have prayed for more than one." But maybe he got that one more. Maybe that was the time to say, "You know what, I'm going to step down from being the GM. I'll be the owner." We got one more. We secured the dynasty. But 25 years later, he never did. He's still running the show. And, Cowboys fans are very frustrated. A lot of the Cowboys fans that I talk to who remember Jimmy Johnson, and some remember Roger Staubach, they're still talking about Jimmy Johnson. That's 25 years ago. What about these last 2.5 decades? What have you been doing? And it wasn't Jimmy Johnson won back-to-back championships. Now, Troy Aikman said if he would have stayed, we might have won 4 in a row. Yeah, that's a might have. Just because he was there doesn't mean you're going to win the Super Bowl every year. He won 2, and he stepped down. With Seattle, when they had the ball at the 1 yard line, yes, your odds are with you that you were going to win that game. You had the ball at the 1 yard line, on second down. It's not guaranteed, but if you were betting in Las Vegas, your odds were you're going to win that ball game. So it wasn't assured that Jimmy Johnson was going to win Super Bowl after Super Bowl. He won back-to-back, stepped away, and then Barry Switzer comes in, I believe, finishes the job, secures that dynasty, the 3 out of 4, and in my opinion, did a fantastic job. Because if you look at it, when Vince Lombardi retired after winning back-to-back he won 3 NFL championships in the first 2 Super Bowls. So he wins the first 2 Super Bowls and a three-peat with the NFL, and moves up to the front office. Now, Phil Benson, who took over for Lombardi, he didn't get to the Super Bowl. I mean, there was no more Super Bowl appearances for them for years. Bill Parcells, when he left the Patriots after going to the Super Bowl, he left Pete Carroll a very good young team. Pete Carroll didn't get that team to a Super Bowl, not even close. So I think Barry Switzer got the job done. Came in, he wasn't responsible for that drama with Jerry and Jimmy. Now, you'll see Troy Aikman and some of the Cowboys players taking shots at Barry Switzer, saying he really wasn't doing that much. He was more of a CEO, overseeing things. But to me, the bottom line was he's the coach of record. He got a Super Bowl championship, and he's got 3 national championships in college. So Barry Switzer's a good coach. So, one coach who did get the job done, Bill Walsh, won 3 championships with the 49ers. He retired, and the defensive coordinator, George Seifert, took the head coaching position. His first year, they win a championship, Joe Montana's 4th championship. And I'll say 4 years later, George Seifert was the head coach on another Super Bowl team when Steve Young got his ring. So there are instances where someone has left a great team and they get the job done, and others, they don't get the job done. One of the people will say about Tony Dungy, built that Tampa Bay team, but he wasn't getting them over the top, and then they brought in John Gruden in his first year, they win that Super Bowl. That Tampa team, 3 Hall of Famers on defense, Warren Sapp, Derek Brooks, and John Lynch. So that was a really very talented football team, that Bucks teams in the early 2000s. Getting back to the Dallas Cowboys, Tom Landry lost 2 championship games to Vince Lombardi, and he lost 2 championship games to Chuck Noll. Tom Landry has 2 Super Bowl victories in 5 Super Bowl appearances. So, I mean, if he could have got it done, but he didn't, if he would have split with Lombardi and split with Chuck Noll, you might be saying Tom Landry's the best coach of all time, but that's a coulda, woulda, shoulda. But Tom Landry, one of the great coaches of all time. He was the defensive coordinator, and Vince Lombardi was the offensive coordinator on that New York Giants team that won a title in the late 50s. And then later on, Lombardi went and was hired by the Green Bay Packers. The Giants didn't want to hire Lombardi, who's from New York City. And he was very disappointed in that, to say the least. And the thing was, when Lombardi won his first 2 championships, he beat the Giants in back-to-back championships. The first one, it was the Giants visited Green Bay in the NFL championship game. Packers beat him 37-0. Just crushed them. There's a story before the game, Wellington Mara, the owner of the Giants, and he was a college classmate of Vince Lombardi. They went out to dinner in Green Bay. So they're having dinner, and Lombardi kind of stands up quickly, and he says, "Well, we're going to beat you tomorrow," and walks away. And as Vince Lombardi's son said in that documentary, he said he left Mara to find his own ride home. So, and the next year, the NFL championship game was in New York. Packers at New York Giants. Packers beat them 16-7. So, great coaches, Lombardi. Some people say Lombardi's the greatest coach of all time. Some Belichick, but it's kind of 1 and 1A. 2 great coaches. But now, a little back to the Cowboys. Some people will say Tony Romo wasn't that good. He's got 2 playoff victories against the Vikings and the Lions. But you could look at it this way. Tony Romo's an undrafted free agent, and he had a pretty good career. Now, he wasn't that good in those late games in the playoffs or late in the season when they needed to get to the playoffs. But considering he's an undrafted free agent, Tony Romo's a pretty good quarterback. Maybe a lot of that was Jerry Jones being over the back of all those coaches. Another thing I think now about the Dallas Cowboys, I think Jason Garrett should get another shot at a head coaching position. He's got a couple of 12-4 seasons, good coach with Jerry Jones on his back, and I'm just wondering what kind of job could he do if he had an owner and a GM that kind of said, coach the ball club, and we'll give you a little freedom, give you a little room to maneuver, instead of Jerry Jones calling down and saying, hey, run this play or run that play, if he does that. But I like Jerry Jones. I respect him. I remember a couple of years ago, Dallas needed to make the playoffs. The Giants would have had to beat the Eagles. So they were and Dallas was playing, I believe, Washington. So they're showing up in the owner's box. Jerry Jones looking around at the monitor behind him of the Giants Eagles game, hoping the Giants could win to save Jerry's season, the Dallas Cowboys. And I'm thinking, that's sad. You got to hope that the New York Giants are going to save your season. So, it's amazing. I'm hoping that Jerry Jones, I don't want it to be against the Patriots, but I'm hoping Jerry Jones and the Cowboys can win another championship after all these years. George Steinbrenner did that. He won those championships early with Billy Martin and then with Joe Torre. Then a few years went by and they got another championship. So I'm hoping that Jerry Jones can win another championship, because I think he's good for the NFL. He's a showman, loves going on talk shows and goes on Dallas local sports radio. I've heard some of those shows via YouTube, but Jerry Jones, good for the league, a showman. But the bottom line is, you can't, maybe drafting too many receivers in the first round, things like that, where maybe just draft offensive linemen, build your line. Tough to say because, and the thing is, in Dallas's division, you got Daniel Snyder. That's good if you're a Cowboys fan. Daniel Snyder is not a good owner as far as putting good product on the field. It's kind of like in the Patriots division. Patriots fans, oh, we love the Jets. We love Miami because they don't get it done. They make it easier for the Patriots to move on to get those buys. Now, Buffalo's been coming on the last few years with Josh Allen, but there was a long streak there after Jim Kelly where the Bills weren't that good. And those were during the Tom Brady era in New England. So a lot depends on your division. The NFC East, Dallas's division. When Buffalo went to those 4 Super Bowls in a row, every year they lost to someone in the NFC East. Twice to Dallas with Jimmy Johnson, once to Joe Gibbs and that Redskins team, and once to the Giants with Bill Parcells. So they were running into just Hall of Fame coaches. One of the things about I find interesting was when Joe Gibbs had the Hogs, that offensive line, Bill Parcells said, boy, we got to counter with that great offensive line, and he built a great defensive line for the Giants. And then Jimmy Johnson comes along in that same division and says, boy, we got to counter that great Giants defensive line, and Dallas builds that great offensive line. So there was a lot of jockeying for position in that division, but just want to wrap this segment up talking about the Dallas Cowboys from a Patriots fan perspective. I'm hoping that Jerry Jones can get another championship. I mean, I enjoy Jerry. I think he's cool. I mean, I like Jerry. I remember once I was working in the supermarket industry in Las Vegas, and I'm a Patriots fan, and the guy I worked with, Tim, was a Falcons fan. We'd be in the back room talking about Jerry Jones and the Cowboys, and we would call him Jerry. So hopefully Cowboys fans keep the faith. Hey, you got 5 rings, you got 5 championships, keep the faith. You go on a run, win a couple more, you could be right there. You're already right there with the Steelers and the 49ers and the Patriots. So Cowboys fans, keep the faith. You'll get there. You'll get more championships, and just respect your organization, respect your team, and all the great things you've done for the league. So we'll see you on the next show. I'm Joe Mahan.